Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We've been looking at Imam Al-Razi's discussion about guidance and its nature. In the last session, we looked at his view that body is an instrument, or maybe even mere instrument of the soul, because the purpose of body is to provide the tools through which soul can seek guidance, because it's the soul which longs for guidance. The body itself doesn't. The body's purpose, the purpose of body, or other purposes of body, apart from its sustenance of the soul, are just self-sustenance, and which is not something which is desired for its own sake. So, let's go through the argument from the previous session, and then we will move on with the second half of the paragraph, where he makes his real point. So he says, وَعَلَمْ أَنَّ الْمَقْصُودَ مِنْ خَلْقِ الْجَسَدِ حُصُولُ الْهِدَايَةِ. So the purpose of the creation of the body is to seek guidance for the soul. And in order to substantiate his assertion here, or his claim here, he quotes an ayah from Surah An-Nahl. I think it's ayah number 78, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم والله أخرجكم من بطون أمهاتكم لا تعلمون شيئا وجعل لكم السمع والأبصار والأفئدة لعلكم تشكرون. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He brought you out of the wombs of your mothers in a state in which you didn't know anything. لا تعلمون شيئا. And then He created the power of listening, the power of hearing, and power of listening, and the power of seeing, and the heart, so that you can be thankful to Him, so that you can be grateful to Him. So probably Imam Al-Razi is thinking here that the shukr, the act of thankfulness and gratefulness, is the act of the soul. And these bodily instruments like listening, hearing, and the life is given to us, the bodily life, so that the soul is able to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why he says, وَهَذَا كَالتَّسْرِيحِ. This ayah is like a clear statement for the fact that the body is created, so that the soul can seek guidance. وَهَذَا كَالتَّسْرِيحِ بِأَنَّهُ تَعَالَى إِنَّمَا خَلَقَ الْجَسَدَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the body, وَإِنَّمَا عَاتَ الْحَوَاسِ, and He gave the body these senses, لِتَكُونَ عَالَةً, so that those senses can be, instrument, في اكتساب المعارف والعلوم, through which we can acquire knowledge and wisdom. So if the purpose of the body is to provide wisdom and knowledge, and the body itself cannot use that wisdom and knowledge, but that is for the soul to use in order to seek guidance. So that proves for him the fact that the body is the instrument, or the purpose of body is to seek guidance for the soul. So the body itself doesn't have its own purpose, but it is there as an instrument of the soul. And in the second, okay, so let's go through this a bit. So we looked at this thoroughly before, so I'm not going to spend too much time on that. But his point is that body is given these senses. The senses including reason, I guess, at least the reason of mind is part of body. And that's it. The purpose of senses is to acquire knowledge, wisdom. This knowledge and wisdom is theirs, so the soul can use this knowledge and wisdom to seek guidance, because the soul needs guidance. It's long for guidance. Without guidance, this soul is lost. Now, this is the argument in the first paragraph. And I said that the ayah, it doesn't seem that, at least it's not any clear statement of this fact, because لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ refers to your whole being, which includes body plus soul. And soul and the senses are, we seek knowledge from senses, but knowledge guides both body and soul. So it is not clear at this point. So that's why in the next part of this paragraph he makes another point, which as far as I can see is based on his conception of human nature, which is largely derived from the knowledge of his time, which were Aristotelian philosophy, and through neoplatonic lens. And in this philosophy, body is considered something, base and vile. So he makes his real point through this, through reference to this stock of knowledge, which is not necessarily based in Quran either, as far as I can see. So let's read it before we consider it. So now here, so this starts from why then here وأيضا فالأحوال الجسدية خسيسة. The states of body are mean, base. They don't have much worth. And the essence of those states is يرجع حاصله إلى الالتزاز بذوق الشيء من الطعوم أو لمس شيء من الكيفيات الملموسة. And their end product is, the pleasure we get through, tasting foods and, touching things. And pleasure is, at least for Imam Razi here, something which is mean and base. It doesn't have much worth. And this gel well with his, Aristotelian neoplatonic conception of human nature. أما الأحوال الروحانية والمعارف الإلهية. And as opposed to what we just said, the states of the soul, on the other hand, are lofty. Not just because the state of soul is based in divine wisdom, wal ma'arif al-ilahiyyah, which it seeks through with the help of the body. So at least body should have some, acknowledgement here too. And he goes on to say, فَإِنَّا كَمَالَاتٌ بَاقِيَةٌ أَبَدَ الْآبَادِ. Now he's talking about the state of soul. What about the soul which is not nourished through divine wisdom, but nourished through, wrong-headed knowledge and wrong-headed wisdom, so to speak, or, satanic or devilish knowledge, and which is not knowledge, or is nourished by ignorance, compound ignorance. So he's not talking about that. So amal ahwal ruhaniya, but the state of the soul and the divine knowledge. فَإِنَّهَا كَمَالَاتْ بَاقِيَةٌ. By divine knowledge, he means the knowledge of the divine things, like Iman and the right path and all those things. فَإِنَّهَا كَمَالَاتٌ بَاقِيَةٌ. These things are everlasting. They are abad al-abad. مَسُونَةً عَنِ الْكَوْنِ وَالْفَسَادِ. They are beyond being and destruction. So here I seem to think that he thinks that soul is also not a being, not a created being. So its states are also not states are also everlasting. They are not going to, be destroyed. On the other hand, pleasures of body, they are going to be, destroyed after, once we have sought the pleasure, it's gone, and ultimately we are going to die. But what about the resurrection? He is not thinking of that, because the resurrection is not just the resurrection of soul, but also the body, mainly of body, because soul is not dying anyway. And resurrection of body also means resurrection of estates. So, and if the paradise, Jannah and Jahannam, are going to be both bodily stations, bodily and stations where body, full-blooded body with soul will reside according to its own destination, whether it's Al-Jannah or Al-Jahannam, a'adana Allahu minhu. If that's the case, then Imam Razi's points, the whole argument falls, because the body is going to be resurrected. Its actions and pleasures and its pains, they are presumably also going to be resurrected. But his argument is that since the body is vile, its things are going to be, destroyed with without death. On the other hand, soul is supposedly, everlasting. Its states are also everlasting. From this he concludes فَعَلِمْنَا. So it follows from that أَنَّ الْخَلْقَ تَبَعٌ لِلْهِدَايَةِ. Creation is subservient to guidance. In this specific sense in which he is talking about, that is, this creation of the body is just for the seeking or the search of guidance for the soul, and apart from that, it's just pile of rubbish. وَالْمَقْصُودُ الْأَشْرَفُ الْأَعْلَى حُصُولُ الْهِدَايَةِ. And because the ultimate purpose is obviously guidance, that's why it proves that the body is subservient to the soul, and the body is contingent and the soul is everlasting. The states of the body is contingent and the states of the soul are everlasting. Now that's true. وَالْمَقْصُودُ الْأَشْرَفُ الْأَعْلَى حُصُولُ الْهِدَايَةِ. The ultimate purpose is guidance, but he's presupposing here a point without proving that that guidance is only for the soul and not for the body as well. And also assuming that soul is not created, which I'm not sure about, whether it's right. I mean, if we say the soul is God's command, then obviously there's a difference between God's command is not created. Al-Khalq wal-Amr. But the Quran says, وَمَا أُوتِيتُ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. You haven't been given much knowledge about the soul. So, okay, so this is his rough meaning of this. So let us delve a bit deeper into this. So Imam Al-Razi is saying that body states, body's states are base. They don't have much worth, like seeking pleasure through eating and other senses. On the other hand, the soul and its states mean al-ahwal. Al-jasad, al-ruh. And soul and its states spiritual states. It consists in the love of God and the knowledge of God, which, by the way, we have thought through this base body. These states, now that's another point. These body states are fleeting, contingent. They are going to be destroyed. On the other hand, states of soul, because they are based on love of God and knowledge and all these things, these states are going to be everlasting. And from this he draws the conclusion that this contingent thing is subservient to this everlasting thing. That's why the real thing and the real deal is soul and its states, and not the body. Body is the mere instrument. Once it has done its job, it's of no use, and also it is not worthy in itself. Now, I feel, I might be totally wrong, but I feel that this view is not based on Islamic conception of human nature. It's more based in neoplatonic, Aristotelian conception of human nature. Neoplatonic, Aristotelian conception of human nature, because Neoplatonic conception soul is everlasting and the body is contingent and also base and vile, and pleasures are something to be scoffed upon. But in the Islamic conception, body plus soul the purpose is guidance for both the body and soul, worshipping God. And the states of body and soul, since body is also going to be resurrected, its states are also going to be resurrected as and the ultimate destination of human body and soul is either ultimate pleasure and happiness and sa'adat, which is more than happiness, or ultimate pain, and the pain is the pain of body as well as soul. And to say that because the ultimate purpose is guidance, that's why the body or the creation is subservient to guidance. We say both soul and body are subservient to guidance, and the purpose is worship of God. And worship, you can't worship without body. I mean, worshipping involves the worship, and those states of body which have gone through worship, they are going to be everlasting in the bliss of divine grace and divine bounty. So it's not just soul. And to say that states of body are base, that seems to me a very neoplatonic conception in Islam. Pleasures are not base. They are base only if they emanate through our desire, the dominance of desire. But if desire is subservient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and pleasures are according to the divine guidance and the divine pleasure, they are the bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So eating and sleeping and other bodily function, including sex, they are God's great bounties. That's why you are supposed to be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For those bounties. And similarly, the knowledge and the states of souls are very important, and more important than the state of body, but they have organic relationship. So without a body which is without a body which is a healthy body, in the sense that it is developed and grown according to Allah in the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guidance. Only such a body can be compatible with and a support for a healthy soul. So, in that sense, nothing is base in Allah's creation. The only base thing is displeasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and deviation from his desires and his pleasures. So that's what I think. So in a sense, I would reject this view that the purpose of body is merely to provide guidance for the soul, and that whole creation is subservient to soul in that sense. And he almost seemed to exclusively relate guidance to soul, even though in Islam guidance is holistic. It's for soul, it's for body, it's for your reason, it's for your whole thing, it's for your life, it's for your pleasure, it's for your desires, etc. So I think let's go back to the text, and then I think the point, I have made my point, and I'm not sure I'm right or wrong, but that's what I understood from this. That's what I understood from there. This is my view at this point. Anyway, the next paragraph is the real important stuff, and I think my basic purpose was just to read that paragraph, but it turned out that these preceding two paragraphs are also very important. So Imam Razi rahmatullah alayhi say, وَعَلَمْ أَنَّ الْمَقْصُودَ مِنْ خَلْقِ الْجَسَدِ حصول الهداية للروح كما قال تعالى والله أخرجكم من بطون أمهاتكم لا تعلمون شيئا وجعل لكم السمع والأبصار والأفئدة لعلكم تشكرون. وهذا كالتصريح بأنه تعالى إنما خلق الجسد وإنما أعطى الحواس لتكون آلة في اكتساب المعارف والعلوم. وأيضا فالأحوال الجسدية خسيسة. Body states are mean base. يرجع حاصل إلى الالتذاذ بذوق الشيء من الطعوم ولمس الشيء من الكيفيات الملموسة. And body states mostly consist in seeking pleasure. On the other hand, ahwal al-ruhaniya, the states of soul, which I guess he's saying if they are adorned by divine knowledge, فَإِنَّهَا كَمَالَاتْ بَاقِيَةٌ, these are the excellences which are going to remain forever. Abad al-abad, so they are everlasting. Masunatan anil kol fasad, so they are beyond being and destruction. Fa'alimna. So if we know this, then it follows that the creation, especially the creation of the body is tabaun lil hidayah, subservient to guidance, and here he seems to equate guidance with soul. I mean, I don't have any problem with creation being subservient to guidance in the sense that creation need guidance. So, but that guidance is needed for body as well as soul. And if it's the guidance is for body and soul, it means that body and soul both are subservient to guidance. But obviously, at least in the context, he seems to almost equate guidance with the soul, or at least the sort of soul which is adorned by a divine knowledge. And wal maqsood al ashraf al ala husul hidayah. So since the real purpose is seeking guidance, and if the soul is what the guidance is about, then body lags behind in that, and it becomes a mere instrument of that. But what we said was that body states are not just while, they're while only if we neglect Allah's guidance. But if we follow Allah's guidance, then the body becomes, pure and, in a sense, sacred, because it's especially a body which has spent its being and its days and its nights in the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It will shine, that body will shine on the day of judgment, like the soul. So, and that body is not base at all. And the ultimate purpose is guidance, the seeking, search of guidance, following guidance, but that guidance is for both the soul and for the body. So if this is true, then Imam Razi's argument falls, or at least it's not as persuasive as it might seem. Okay, so we'll stop here, and the next time is the main real the final paragraph which I want to go through. إذا ثبت هذا فنقول إن شاء الله. So the next session.